Welcome back to the Joseph Graham Show. Today I'm super excited. I have Donovan Rittenbach. Did I say your name right?
Rittenbach.
Rittenbach. See, I didn't check beforehand because we were jamming. And here's the funny thing. They say perception is reality. I thought the thing behind him on the left was a galaxy like space where like my nerd mind went. And he's like, no, it's not. It's a BI. I'm like, it's a BI. It totally threw me off that it was an actual BI, not like space. That one definitely I can see, but the one that was right there from a distance, I thought like galaxy and all, but we're just gonna start this off with this here, like with perception and all. How did you even get this picture, Donovan?
I have a setup where I can take photos through a microscope, and each one of these is what's called a composite image. So this one is the one that blows my mind. I don't know if you can see. This is um, the hair coming off the top of the eyeball,
Mhm.
and which is basically its eyelashes that protect its eye from dust and stuff. So I stuck this under a microscope, 100x magnification, took 17 photos. Then I had to use a computer to stitch them together and make one in focus, you know, photo. And then I printed that out on a canvas on Giclée. And this is I don't know if you, that's a B wing,
Oh,
which is
nice.
crazy. Like you bees are like our best friends in the world. They're literally the number one agricultural um animal.
Mhm.
And so I
I love beef.
yeah, I geek out on them. So
I do not like wasps or hornets. I think they're
yeah.
worthless, but bees are good. I only
Exactly.
say that because a lot of people are like, oh, bees and wasps and hornets are bad. No, bees are great. We need bees. We do not need wasps or hornets ever.
Ever. You like honey? Yeah, there's so many. Oh, I could riff on bees for all day, for days, but we're gonna stick to AI today.
Yeah, we're going to talk AI. So, what Donovan and I have found out is we like to go on a lot of different topics. Like on an episode, I'm probably going to drop on a subscriber view. We talked about Gnosticism. We talked about being a Jedi. We talked about a lot of deep, crazy, cool things. But what I want to showcase today is how, with AI and a creative mind, you can blow things away and make things way better than what anyone can think of. But Donovan, you're the expert on that. I kind of just listened to what we were jamming on before and kind of gave a little tease with it. But so how do people do that? Because everyone is like, I want AI. And then everyone's doing chat GPT, not changing it, not doing anything, and you're getting these carbon copies of bleh. So help
Yeah.
us not be bleh.
Okay. Yeah. There's officially a word for that. It's called work slop. So it's and the way you don't get work slop is by this is something that I talk about in my book, right? The prompt virtuoso, secret techniques to amplify your intelligence and not get hacked by AI. So what I discovered, in the course of writing this system is there's like a whole way of thinking with the tools. And it's co-thinking. It's instead of getting, the AI to do all the thinking for you because it really does a poor job of it, you got to bring your expertise to the table, your knowledge of what works and what doesn't, because you have a body and the AI doesn't. And if you're creative and an out of the box thinker, you can come up with some insane, like it will increase your ability to think in ways that you didn't know you could even think in, whether it's strategically, critically, analytically, and there's 20 other different modes that I get into in my book. So,
Well, let's dig into that. And I'm going to start a little high level to begin with because I've played around with it, but you're definitely the expert. But like even on Chat GPT or Copilot, I will put my podcast into it. I will tell it things about me. And then I'll be like, hey, tell me things I don't know just because I'm just weird like that. And sometimes it's really good. And then sometimes it's like, that's not me at all. So how do we even get the AI to understand who we are correctly? And I'm sure it was operator error on my part. I said something thinking it made sense, and the computer's like, "You like butterflies." And I never mentioned a butterfly.
Yeah, that's kind of a complex question. I'm going to say, so what's happening now is they're making the systems have more memory so they can think because let's first of all be crystal clear. These tools do not think. That is not, they give the illusion of thinking.
Mhm.
Okay, it's an engineering trick. And as I was saying earlier, as a as a magician, I study how magicians think. I study how to make the impossible possible. And when you see what's going on behind the scene here, it's not thinking, it's a big guessing machine and it just guesses really good. And sometimes it doesn't guess so good. And yeah, then you get the weird kind of results that you're talking about. So context is super, super important to these machines because every time you set up a new chat, you got to kind of reorient its kind of knowledge of who you are and what you've talked about in order for it to give you the kind of results that you want, right? Like just talk like you in your tone of voice. That's a whole trick unto itself, right? If it was intelligent, you wouldn't have to keep teaching it how to do it, right? Like it's not intelligent. So it just looks like it.
Well,
Like here's,
it's magic.
yeah, it is. And it really is um, magic. And what I mean by that is technology is something we understand, and this is something I think we might have even talked about before. Techno magic, right? In sci-fi, there's this whole concept of techno magic, and basically, technology is something you understand. Magic is something that you can imagine but hasn't happened yet, right? Like Star Trek had the communicator, and then 30 years later, we got the flip phone, the smartphones, right? Or the cell phones that were looked like a communicator. So the same thing's going on here with AI. Everybody's talking about it's artificial intelligence, and that's marketing schlock
Mhm.
because they're trying to say that it's intelligent and it's not. So here's where the magic for me comes in, and it's a complete reframe of how I look at these tools. Okay. So imagine you're looking out a window, and that window has a filter on it that says AI is intelligent. Well, let's get rid of that window, and let's say um, AI is a mirror, a mind mirror. It's going to mirror my mind, and whatever I put into it, it will mirror back to me. So if it could think on its own, it would, but it needs you to type things in, right? Other, Otherwise, it can't quote unquote think. So what it does behind the scenes is there's a big, huge database of associations and it connects it all together. And it's basically um, like it's autocomplete on steroids. Okay. So you put a bunch of words in and it's going to find a way to connect all those dots. Right. So, like, um, here's a great example of how I use it to think in a way that I normally wouldn't think. Okay. There's a lot of different modes of thinking, and one of them is called lateral thinking. And lateral thinking is sideways thinking. So if you take a, for example, um, something that you just take for granted, like dogs are man's best friend, right?
Mhm.
That's something that I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. I haven't really thought about that. Um, but here, can I share my screen with you real
Yeah,
quick? And I'll show you kind of what happens when you do a think laterally, because it's kind of it's fun. Says only the host can share.
let me go to, I'm going to try and go to Senate and switch it. Ah, boom. I have it on all participants. It should be good. Try it now. And this might be operator on my part. I've hit the button to say all on both.
See, share screen. This is interesting. I go share screen. Start everything on your screen, including notifications, are recorded. Okay, well, whatever.
Yeah, you have to say yes because we're recording. There we
Zoom.
go. Now it's
Okay,
going.
so let's see if you could. Let's make sure you can see what I'm doing. Do you see my screen changing?
I do.
Okay,
And now
so I
you're in
use
Claude.
Claude, right? And the reason I use Claude is the ethical AI. What does that mean, Donovan? Let's just say that, whoops, we're gonna have a little bit of a bump here. Claude, and it's also kind of like the big brother. It's for professional writing. It's
Hmm.
for professional thinking. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna say think laterally about dogs are a man's best friend. Okay. So this is something you take for granted. But I'm going to show you how to say something profound about that nobody has really thought of before. All right. So let's see if I can get this to. Usually I present this on a desktop, but
Hmm.
here we go. Actually, let's try getting it to read. Please read. It might not. Okay, whatever. So here we go. The phrase dogs are man's best friend is interesting to unpack laterally. So you could take it from an evolutionary angle, which is dogs co-evolved with humans over 15,000 years, essentially domesticating themselves by selecting for traits that made them useful and appealing. We didn't just befriend dogs, we accidentally bred a species that needed to be our friend to survive. Okay, there's a twist on it. Linguistic trap. The phrase anthropomorphizes friendships. Dogs don't have friends in the human sense, they have pack members and attachment figures. We are projecting our social framework onto a different species bonding behavior. Um, Economic framing. Dogs might be humanity's most successful product. We engineered them for specific jobs, herding, hunting, guarding, but the friendship model became the killer app that made them ubiquitous. The Labrador Retriever is basically the iPhone of animals. Reciprocity paradox. So it goes down through like
Hmm.
these different ways of thinking about that same thing, right? Like the mirror effect, dogs reflect our emotions back at us with seemingly unconditional enthusiasm. Maybe they're less best friends and more emotional support mirrors, giving us
Mm.
validation and loyalty we wish humans would provide. So you've now taken something that you take for granted and you flipped it on its head, right?
Hmm.
And you have some interesting things that you could think about. Um, I'll leave it at that. But does that make sense? It's like the same concept that, you know, basic concept, but it's got a big twist on it that makes you think,
Yes.
what's
Yeah,
going
it
on?
makes you open your mind up more to instead of this is the defined norm, there's different ways that you're able to look at the world. You could do this with religion, you could do this with politics, you could do this with business. Yeah, with all of it. No, it makes a lot of sense.
By the way, let's just confirm we're still recording.
Mhm.
Okay, because it looked like it's shut off for us. It's set over here. It's shut off. Okay,
Oh no, we're still recording on my
great.
end because it's telling me to stop recording, so we're good.
I don't usually use the iPad on this, so this is an experiment. I like experiments. Okay, so can I give you like another example of how you
Mhm.
would think with these things? So the most important thing to understand when you're using these tools, at least as far as I'm concerned, is the question is more important than the answer. Okay. So you've got to come up with a great question. And if you do, AI is going to give you some amazing results, right? Um, so in order to ask a great question, you have to have some context. So let me tell you a quick story. Do you know the game Go? Have you ever heard of it? So Go is a Chinese game, 2,500 years old. It's far more complex than chess. So there are more moves in a game of Go than there are atoms in our galaxy.
Oh wow.
It's crazy. Okay. Chess was beaten in 1997. Excuse me, a computer beat a human in 1997. But it wasn't until 2016 that a computer finally beat a top Go player. And it was Google had an AI called AlphaGo that they had, it had played 1 million games. So it had trained itself how to play Go by playing itself 1 million times. Okay, so here it is playing this human. Um, in the second game, it did this crazy thing called Move 37. Move 37, it was a 1 in 10,000 chance, and it looked like that a human would play that, and it looked like a mistake. But because of that totally unorthodox move, it won the game. Okay. The guy that it was playing against lost the first game, the second game, the third game. So but he was inspired by what he saw in that second game with the move 37. And so his move 78, which became known as God's touch, had been inspired by the AI. It was another one of these 1 in 10,000 chance kind of moves. And because of that, he won the game versus the AI.
Hmm.
But what was really interesting is that it changed how the game Go is played. Like all these strategies that were previously, not tenable, suddenly we're like, hey, why don't we give it a try?
Hmm.
Because, okay. So it's this out of the box thinking, kind of like Netflix said, hey, you know, our main competitor is Blockbuster. They make all their money on charging people for late fees. What if we just say, keep the DVD as long as you want? And as a result, they put Blockbuster out of business,
Hmm.
right? Or Airbnb was like, we realize people have been going to hotels for, since the dawn of time, but why should we buy property when people already have the property and we can connect them together? And they created a whole new market model,
Hmm.
right? Okay. So with that kind of thinking in mind, I've developed this um, framework called the Genius Protocol, and it's trying to replicate genius thinking, right? Like we want to. I've been fascinated by geniuses, right? Because they're really smart, and I want to be really smart. Well, AI will help you be really smart if you use it wisely. Okay, here's going to be the example. Um, do you have anybody in like any kind of market in particular that you like to work in, or is there an industry you prefer to work in, or is there a
I like to deal with C-suite. So I'm weird when it comes to sales. I deal with CEOs, CFOs, and CTOs. I could pick markets. There's different ones. Like I'm really big in manufacturing, healthcare, doesn't matter, but I really like C-suite people.
okay, C-suite people in healthcare? Like the reason why I'm mentioning this is I did this kind of demo with Gabe Arnold, and we did
Mhm.
medical for him. If you want to do medical, we could do medical. If, but like, think of a question, like a problem that you one of your people would have. Like, does anything come to mind? Like,
Sure. Like, well, depending on what you want, like with medical, it's lowering cost while still providing accurate care and abiding by HIPAA laws.
okay, so let's just go with that for a second. Here we go again. I'm going to share a screen. And are there any costs associated with that, or are there any particular challenges?
It would depend on the product. Like if I was doing a voice over IP product, which I won't name because I don't have the right to bring it up like on the show, but say a voice over IP product that on average costs $75 per user because a
Okay,
lot of them use contact centers.
all right. So the question would be, well, let's do this first. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set Claude up and I'm going to do some research because that's going to make it turn it into an expert on this topic, right?
Mhm.
So, um, I need you to do deep research into voice over IP. Is it?
Yep, voice over IP
And
for,
yeah, go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say for hospital record usage. They have to keep records of everything they do, or patient information, however you want to put that in,
And HIPAA compliance.
with HIPAA compliance. Yep.
And what's the issue? Would you say that it's a key issue is um, cost, or is it security,
Cost,
or
accuracy. Well, you have cost, you have accuracy of information, and then you have government regulation as well.
and what do we want to try to figure out about this? Um,
Why don't we try to figure out how to save hospitals the most cost while being HIPAA compliant with the most accurate information? Because all three of them play a part. Because if they're not HIPAA compliant, they're going to be in trouble. If they're not accurate, someone could get the wrong prescription. And if they don't have the right costs, then they're not profitable. And I know people don't like the idea, but hospitals are there to be profitable. We already know this. So I'm just going to rip that band aid off of that hospitals are there to help people. They're there to be profitable, 90% of them.
okay. We want to save
It's
hospitals.
true.
Yeah, it's true. It is. So that we have maximum accuracy of transcribed information. Is it transcribed?
I would say transcribe
What
the
is it?
information or customer client, yeah, client information because they're dealing with what the doctors wrote down. They're dealing with what prescriptions they need. They're dealing with the accuracy of the information. So when a doctor pulls up a chart, it will have everything there for them instead of the old written method. Because a lot of these programs can be used as a voice component where they have AI involved as well.
Okay, so is it voice over IP or is it voice transcription?
Well, the product that I sell does both,
Okay.
and it does it in real time.
Um, and transcription. Let's see, maximum
Like it
accuracy.
will, yep, it will
Okay,
give a summary of whatever you put in it and bullet point.
okay. Is that using AI to do that?
Hmm. Yep.
Okay.
This is an AI product with voice over IP.
The voice over IP.
Hmm.
Recordings. Okay, so here we go. Let's just let that chug for a second. So the reason why I'm using Claude is that Claude, uh, if we really want to do deep research, it will look at like basically 500 different sources, and it will go through and compile a really extensive and comprehensive report. So in this particular instance, it synthesized 100 sources analyzing voice over IP, medical transcription, HIPAA compliance, accuracy rates, and cost structures for hospitals. So um, here's the current transcription costs.
Hmm.
Uh, right, hidden cost crisis. Clinicians spend 15.5 hours a week on documentation.
Yep.
48.2% physician burnout rated
Hmm.
rate directly tied to pajama time charting. Anyways,
Yep.
so it's going through, right? 90% of medical notes contain at least one error. And it gets into it gives us a breakdown of the crazy accuracy background. And here's where things get interesting. So remember how I was telling you about Move 37?
Hmm.
So let me, does this make sense to you? Combining voice over IP dictation infrastructure with AI transcription plus human validation in a single HIPAA compliant platform that captures voice at point of care. Let's see, the math that wins, why this wins. I'm trying to, sorry, 1 second. I'm looking for what's the move 37 in plain English. So the reason why I said what's the move 37 in plain English is sometimes it doesn't really explain what it's talking about. So everyone else is asking, how do we transcribe medical records cheaper or faster or more accurately? Your move 37 asks, why are you choosing between speed, accuracy, and cost at all? The breakthrough strategy. Stop treating voice over IP, AI transcription, and human validation as separate products. Bundle them into one HIPAA compliant platform hospitals can't get anywhere else. Does that make sense to you? Or is
It
that what
does
you're
because
already
this
doing?
is no, this is what the product I sell does.
Mm,
Because you can use it on your tablet, you can use it on your phone, it can go from multiple different devices. They can input it into the device. They can text on it. So it covers that aspect of it. Um, the accuracy thing is huge because it saves doctors 9 hours a week. Doctors are already tripping out too much. Like they just have too much stuff. Saving
yeah.
hospitals 70 to 90 per year or a 50% cost reduction is definitely a win. And you have a 1 in 10,000 chance of being considered the most companies think you have to pick cheap or accurate. And in the medical world, they can't pick if they pick cheap and it gets messed up and something goes wrong, you're talking $1 million lawsuits. With
Yeah.
this, you need to have accurate. So, I mean, no, I think the strategy works. I
Yeah.
actually like that it's doing that because most of the time they would have a voice over IP, they would have a transcription service, and then they'd have a human element as well. So putting it all
Mm,
together is what I wanted to see if it would do.
yeah. So do you want to see if we can make this even better, or do you want to? Um, Okay, let's see if we can make it even spicier. Okay, this is spot on. Okay, can we make this even more awesome? Come on. I'm typing in a weird angle, so.
Oh, you're good. You're good. I have a little dyslexia, so there's a lot of times I type and then I have to do the whole fix the uh
Yes.
words and all on it. So
Okay, so what about this? The Move 37 nuclear version, the setup. Hospitals are hemorrhaging money on a fraud nobody's calling out. They're paying 144K for transcription that takes 3 days, contains error in 90% of notes, is literally killing their doctors with burnout. Meanwhile, their solution is choosing between yada, yada, yada. So the Move 37 Trojan horseplay, don't sell them better
hmm
transcription, sell them physician retention,
yep. Oh, I love this. I
right?
love
Here's
this pitch reframe. Yeah. And there you are. You're talking to the CFO because you're saving money, but their biggest cost is doctors, medical
right?
equipment, and doctors.
Yeah, the physician retention kind of is pretty important. So replacing one burned out physician, 500K to a million in recruitment and training costs. The average hospital loses 2 to 3 doctors a year to burnout. And the number
Yep.
one cause of physician burnout is documentation burden.
hmm
So your pitch reframe, what if I could give you back 9 hours per week per physician, cut your transcription costs in half, and reduce medical errors by 40%. So the knockout punch, the 3 number close, like look at this. This would take a team of highly qualified experts months to assemble this.
Hours and
Think
months and yeah. hmm
and think this up and put it all together. Now, I want to make it clear, right? I uploaded a couple of scripts before we got on the call that are my own proprietary kind of thinking scripts that help it and
hmm
think outside the box. Um, and I'm making it look easy, but it's not. It's taken a lot of, I've been using AI for 3 years and I have a good marketing background, I got sales background. I've brought that all together, right? And that combined with my out of the box thinking has allowed me to come up with these kind of results, right? So the knockout punch, which, this again, it comes back to the human and the human's perspective on using the AI, right? Like I've had
hmm
hundreds of conversations with this AI that it can also refer to, right? That have influenced this conversation that I'm having with it. It's it's not the AI that's doing it, it's the human that is the catalyst. Um, so anyways, the knockout punch, the 3 number close. Let's see. It's gonna that's interesting. Return on investment, it pays for itself if it prevents one resignation. The
hmm
emotional Trojan horse. So show me a doctor who loves their EHR system. Go ahead, I'll wait. Right? They'll laugh because it's true, right? Because doctors didn't go to medical school to become glorified data entry clerks. They want to save lives. And right now they're spending more time with computers than patients. That's why half are burned out and why they're quitting. But here's what nobody's figured out: the transcription problem isn't a transcription problem, it's a retention problem. So,
hmm
okay, awesome. The category creation play. So, a category. So, don't compete in transcription services, create a new category called physician time liberation systems.
hmm
Hmm. Is that make sense? We don't do transcription,
Yeah.
we give doctors their lives back. The
Well, that
transcription
makes sense
is
for
just how we
sales.
do it.
Yeah. No, that Donovan, that I'm a sales guy. Like, and I've been in multiple different industries, and everyone tries to play in the same bucket and say we have the best X widget. But if you can create your own category, like Apple did, like other companies did, where
Uh-huh.
you become your own ecosystem, you win. This here would give you an in if you're dealing with hospitals because now you're finding a pain point that they really care about. You're not just trying to sell them a widget. That's huge.
Right?
Like that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, like it's a complete reframe of, everybody's thinking of selling transcription. No, you're not. You're selling physician retention. Um, so let's see, proof bomb, social proof on steroids. So just to give you like a little background, I have a tool that I've created called Control Forge. Control Forge is specifically for persuasion enhancement for salespeople and for marketing. Because of that context that I gave it in this conversation, it's coming up with all of this output. It wouldn't normally give this, right? But it's giving you the proof bomb. It's giving you like a sales strategy. You want to hire
Yeah.
me?
Yep.
The
Like literally,
unfair.
this does do that. Like this is what here, let's get a little secret. This is what a lot of people will charge you, and they don't even know what they're doing. You should probably work with Donovan. It would probably help you a lot more than the guy that took a course online and said now he's a sales coach or a business coach or whatever coach he is this week.
Yeah, the unfair advantage reveal. Here's your secret weapon in the demo. Every solution makes you choose blah blah blah. Let's see. Is it just reframing this?
Yep. Yeah, it's reframing.
Okay, the close that seals it. It's even going for the close.
Hmm.
Look what you can keep doing. Look, you can keep doing what you're doing, or you can give me 90 days to prove we can cut your cost in half, give your doctors back, lives back, eliminate documentation errors, and stop the bleeding. If you're wrong, if I'm wrong, you're out 90 days. If I'm right, you just saved $500,000 and kept your best doctors from walking out the door.
Hmm.
Okay, so that, right, we just collaborated together with the AI to think about a solution to a problem that it takes a lot of knowledge and a lot of expertise to come up with that solution, right?
Hmm.
So I think it's pretty awesome. And not a lot of people can, nope, not many people at all can come up with that, right? Because it is a whole new category. It sounds like, right? You're reframing it so you're now totally differentiated in the market.
Where everyone else is selling cell phones, you're Apple.
Yeah.
Apple has such a brand loyalty because people go there because of the way they make you feel, their ecosystem, how they are perceived difference, even though they're selling the same type of product. Samsung and Apple have very similar products. Apple people are 100% Apple to like cult like status at times if you can get the branding right.
Yeah. And it's um it's incredible. So what I'm trying to figure out, who I'm going to get to talk to that's going to appreciate what I've built here.
Mhm.
Because I think it's a huge opportunity for people, but most importantly, I want people to start thinking about impossible things that are not normally doable, but if you can use the tools well and you're an expert at them, suddenly you can achieve these things that were not previously possible before. Like I'm setting myself up to, okay, here's an example. Paris Lampropoulos, one of the most well-known high-end A-list copywriters, was just posted to Facebook today that, his goal whenever he writes a control, and a control is like the sales copy that's the winning pitch at the moment. Whenever he writes it, he wants to kill the competition.
Mhm.
Well, guess what? I just I use AI to go through and analyze the heck out of those controls, look for their weak points, look for opportunities to increase the persuasion, to reframe, etc., etc. I would love to test it against Paris, right?
Hmm.
Like, because this is expertise that could would take a person normally decades to acquire, and to be able to analyze it this systematically because I know how to use AI. It's it has the opportunity to change the copywriting industry, I feel. So
Hmm.
we'll
No, I
see.
love that. I love that. I think that this is a good time if people just watch this. Where can people find you at, Donovan? Because they're now like, well, wait, he said hire him. How can I hire him if I don't know where he is?
Yeah. DonovanRittenbach.com. And if you want to go to slash virtuoso, you can find my book there. Yeah.
Perfect.
And that'll you can sign up for my emails, and stuff like that.
Yeah, we'll drop that in the show notes. I just wanted to give people that
Yeah.
chance, and I always do it a little bit in the middle because at the end, people sometimes don't make it to the end or they fall off, and I want them to know where they'd be able to contact you with it. No,
It
I
also
love
helps.
this concept because
Yeah.
I'm thinking of it this way, man. I've been in sales and I've sold heavy equipment. I've done in-home sales. I've done telecom. I've done fiber. I've done oil and gas investments. And what that did right there, and everyone on this show knows that I'm a sales expert. That's 20 years experience was
Yeah.
reframing, putting it in a place in a position to where it's cost versus value, but your value is 10 times better than anyone else because you actually found the real problem, not the shiny object they were showing you in front. Because you're giving them a distinct reason to work with you, like with the hospital case. It keeps their doctors. Has nothing to do with the technology, but it has all to do with the technology. It's the real reason they're doing it. That's what
Right?
I loved about that.
And it's not that it saves time, and it's not that I mean, it is kind of that it saves money, but it's not. It's because it takes a lot to get I mean, to get a doctor into the mix, right? If you lose one, that's huge. And then all the other doctors have to like keep up with that. And yeah, so the way I look at this is, right now the world is a increasingly weird place and it's kind of scary. AI AI has pluses and minuses, and like so we were talking about how it's magic, and all magic has a price, right?
Hmm.
Part of the price of AI is it's definitely eliminating some jobs. I don't know that it's going to create as many as it's eliminating, but it is helping us do things that were previously insane as a sole proprietor or a small business guy. The things you can do, right? It's not just productivity and write an email better and use it like a glorified Google. It's you have access to the world's greatest research library, and you have access to the crystallized sum of all human knowledge. And all you got to do is ask a damn good question,
Hmm.
right? If you can, so I have these a series of questions that I've really been working on that are like primo questions that are like, yeah. And the results that you get from those are also really interesting. I'm not going to share that on the show because but it's good. Like it allows you to think about things that, we're kind of stuck in that frame, and it allows us to get out of that frame and look through a different window, if that makes
Hmm.
sense, right?
Yeah. Well, I
And
mean, I think it does. It comes down to, from what I've heard you say, finding the right problem, knowing how to use AI to actually solve and find the person's real problem, not the fake one. Because we know in sales, everyone says, oh, it's always cost. It's never cost. Cost can be overcome very easily if you have the value there. It's finding the real problem instead of the fake one that they're putting out. And then also with AI, learning to develop it so that you can actually use it as a tool to grow your business, to do what you actually it was made for, not just do little menial tasks because you don't want to do it.
Right? Like it's the most advanced thinking technology on the planet
Mhm.
ever created in human history, and it's never going to get worse unless somebody pulls the plug. It's from here on out, it's the game is completely changed, whether or
Mhm.
not you know it or not. There's one of my favorite quotes is from this guy William Gibson, who wrote a book called Neuromancer back in the 80s, and it was had a big impact, created the word cyberspace. So before the web even had occurred, it there was cyberspace, and he had imagined it. And because he imagined it, somebody built it, and that's
Mhm.
how techno magic works, right? So what he said is the future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed. So what I did today, this is the kind of thinking I don't know anybody else is doing. This is the kind of thinking that they're going to be doing
Mhm.
probably pretty quick as soon as people start going, "Oh, you can do that? Oh, huh? It's yeah, you can." Um so right now you got a window of opportunity. Hopefully we can, use it to make the world a better place, because
Mhm.
there's huge questions that need huge problems that need to be solved. And humans, we have this amazing capacity to make things more difficult than it has to be. Right? Like,
Yep.
and um because of this tool and access to these resources, you can access you can turn your AI into a strategic business consultant. You want to have you know, you don't need a glorified intern. You need like a marketing strategist or a whatever, somebody that you would spend a lot of money, you know, to give you these ideas. Like the idea that I was just going through, easy 50K for that. That should be a lot more than that, because that can change an
Mhm.
industry and be like a massive lever, right? And I think using AI as a lever, there's this guy named Archimedes who invented the lever. And
Mhm.
he said, "Give me a lever big enough and I will move the world." AI is that lever,
Whatever.
in my
Yep.
opinion,
Yep.
right? If we use it wisely. And that's the other thing about magic, and why magic is the perfect metaphor for this. So the word wizard literally means wise man. And a wise man is somebody who considers the results of their actions, right? They consider, what happens if I do this? You know, because a lot of times the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Mhm.
Um, and I'll give you this is one of my favorite examples because I adore elephants and I want to see them not go extinct, right? But back in the late 1880s, there was this guy. It's like, hey, you know, we've we've been wiping out elephants. They're killing them for turning their tusks into billiard balls and chopsticks, and this is this is bad. These are amazing creatures. So let's have a competition. It's kind of like the SpaceX of the time. Let's have a competition. Whoever can create a synthetic alternative to ivory that has the same kinetic magnetic transfer properties, the hardness, the durability, etc. Whoever can come up with that artificial substance is going to win this prize. So
Mhm.
the winner of the prize was Bakelite. Bakelite was the world's first plastic.
Oh,
And
wow.
now, yeah, and for years, plastic was sold as a way to protect the environment from strip mining, deforestation, etc., etc. And now it's like one of our world's biggest pollution problems, right? But
Hmm.
it started with
For
good
a good
intent,
reason.
best
Yep.
intent, right?
Yeah.
But that's where the wisdom has to come in, you know?
Hmm.
And that's what makes, separates a wizard from just a magician, I think, in my opinion. So I like to try to gravitate towards the wizard side of
Hmm.
things.
Yep. Yeah. Well, but I
Anyways,
love that. And it shows how the world goes forward and expands. That was the intent to begin with, was good. We didn't just understand the effect because every cause has an effect. And like with AI, like you said, it can be used for good, it can be used for bad. And right now, when I'm thinking of it, we're in the early adapter stages because AI's been here and everyone thinks they understand it, but they're just playing with it. The ones that are really going and building and digging deep and doing programs like what you're doing are what I would call the early adapters. Typically, you have about a year to 2 year window. AI is moving so fast, you probably have about a 3 to 6 month window if you're lucky before corporations and stuff start catching up. So I would take advantage of it now. Because if I'm sitting there thinking of how fast AI has grown since it came out, it's just getting, like Donovan said, smarter and faster and crazy.
yeah, and it's taken people time to realize this, that it's not the AI. I mean, the AI, oh my God, like what it's done in 2 years. 2 years ago, it had, six fingers and it had all these other issues. It couldn't write a blog post. I co-wrote this year, I co-wrote a book with it. It can create any image that I want.
Mhm.
Like, and it's putting special effects places out of business. They got like an AI, the first ever AI actress just came out a couple of weeks ago. Like, it's mind bending. And that's
Mhm.
the thing, is why it's so important to think about the future, right? Is because the world that we grew up in is not the world we die in any longer, right? We're lucky if we'll make it through a decade without things shifting radically. Like 30
Mhm.
years ago, I never would have guessed copywriting would be threatened. Like,
Mhm.
and here comes this technology, right? That you don't know what you can depend on, other than you can depend on people to be people,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Some good, some bad, and some indifferent. Most indifferent. Most people
Yeah.
get pulled along. I love this quote, but it's the unreasonable ones that change the world because they don't let the world move them. They bend the world. And I
Yeah.
did not say it exactly right, but that was kind of the context. So anyone that's fact checking me, that's not exactly his quote, but it makes enough sense. You got the drift. Donovan, I love this, my friend. We're coming in on about an hour, so we're about to land the plane.
Yep.
But is there anything else we've not talked about or covered with this that you want to leave our listeners with?
So, I've been a Mac guy, speaking of Macs, since 1983. Um, I saw it struggle and flounder for a while, and then when Steve Jobs left and then later came back, he put it back on the map with some of the most amazing marketing ever. I don't know if you remember the Think Different campaign. Did you ever see that? Like, there's this whole campaign.
Vaguely, I vaguely
Yeah,
remember it.
there was this whole, oh, how about this? This will be a hell of an ending. Okay. This will be a nice theatrical ending. What was the Apple commercial about the crazy ones? Okay, because their whole campaign was about geniuses, right? And let's see if it can quote it. Um, Quote, please. They stopped. Maybe. Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them because they change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. Okay, boom. Thanks, Joe. It's been great.
Yeah, no, I love it, Donovan. Again, I remember that now that you mentioned it. And I'm going to leave you with what he just said. The ones that are crazy enough to believe they can change the world are the ones that do. Reach out to Donovan about AI and all that fun stuff. Share this episode far and wide. And don't sit on the sidelines of regret. Go and build a world that you want to wake up and love.